Hello Storytime listeners, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, do what you gotta do. This video is going to be about my cancer journey and how I was diagnosed and beat it within the same year. So you're probably wondering how I ended up here. So my journey basically started when I was in the hospital in Los Angeles trying to deliver my son. Yeah, I was on bed rest for about 3 weeks prior to delivering him, so he ended up being 6 weeks early. When he arrived, I was so motivated to stay on my ish, so I eventually decided to move back home and start my mommy life. When we initially got home, I stayed with my dad for about a week. Then I ended up couch surfing at my aunt's, which is my Nana's sister. And then after that, I ended up staying in the hotel for another week. So if you're counting, that's 3 weeks. By the 4th week, I was moved into a new apartment. Mom life was pretty cool, you know, changing diapers, wiping him spit up. I was into breastfeeding, you know, the usual. What they don't tell you about mom life is it gets hard, especially if you're breastfeeding. You be, you know, drained by the end of each session, not even the end of the day. And I was having trouble even like cooking for myself, feeding myself. It was just a lot. And my son was born in April, so you know, it was hot in that thing. No good circulation, so if you're a person with anxiety, a little heat could trigger some things.
So it's about to get real.
So one day after a doctor's appointment, my mom drove me home, and this was one of them real hot days I was telling you about. And me and my son, we go upstairs, we get naked. I was down to my undies, he was down to a diaper, and I was having an anxiety attack, and this one was huge, like the worst I've ever had. Basically, you know, for those who have been, you know,
your heart racing, you can't breathe a little bit, you can't even try to woosah, but this time it would not go away. So
I ended up having to call out for help, and first I called my Nana. She didn't answer, and then I called my mom. She had to make a U-turn, and then after that I called an ambulance. So the EMTs get there, my roommate comes out her room, grabs my crying baby. I'm freaking out, can't breathe, so I'm crying as well. And they're trying to, you know, do their rounds, you know, blood pressure, oxygen, you know, whatever they do. And they notice I can't like control my breathing, I can't like calm down. They give me 3 shots of whatever heart rate medicine that's supposed to like calm you down or whatever, and it would not work. They gave it to me, it went down, and it spike up and down, spike up, and so on and so forth. So I ended up having to go to the emergency room. So I'm in the emergency room, I'm freaking out, you know, they give me some of that good stuff. And I calm down eventually. Everybody's there, my mom, Nana, dad, brother, cousin, auntie, like the whole family came basically. So the doctors come in, they're like, let's run some tests. We have no idea what's going on. So I ended up doing a CT scan, a few of those, and a pregnancy test, like bye-bye. The last test they did, they ended up finding the mass. With the symptoms I was having and the mass, they diagnosed me with Pheochromocytoma. And then a day later, I rushed out the hospital to meet my brother at his graduation. Even after finding out, I went straight back into mommy mode. For those of you who don't know what Pheochromocytoma is, it's basically an isolated mass in your kidneys that messes with your adrenal glands, to say the least. So symptoms like sweating, headaches, rapid heart rate, seeing spots, you know, basically all the symptoms I was having, just points to that tumor. Once diagnosed, the only way to get out of it is surgery. So I spoke with many specialists, and they told me that I had to be medically treated first before I even set a date. Once the date was set, guess what day it was on? Halloween. 10 days after yours truly's birthday. And I basically had to say my goodbyes to this little guy for a couple days, and you know, just go in there like a champ. I was very nervous, to say the least, but they knock you out. They give you that good stuff. So I went in there nervous, woke up, it was done. This is me after the surgery. Your girl was looking rough. The worst part about leaving my baby was having to see him through a camera. Fortunately for me, I was able to move to a room where I can receive visitors. Many people came to visit, but the little guy couldn't make it. Oh, look at that face. What felt like an end of a journey really turned into a whole new beginning, the recovery. So immediately after surgery, I went into recovery. That meant I had to get a walker because your girl couldn't stand up straight. You know, I had a bilateral incision straight from a little bit under the boobies to a little bit above my C-section scar. It was weird. You know, I had to wear a belly binder. For those who've been pregnant before, they give you those, but mine was a little bit smaller. Like I had to hold myself together, strengthen my muscles, my back, you know. And like I had food restrictions. Like I couldn't really eat solid food for a while. Even after I was able to go home and, you know, being discharged, I still couldn't hold down hard hard foods, soft foods, I guess you say. I had to straight up drink liquids for a while because I could not stomach it. And then, you know, the expectations versus reality, you know, who was going to take care of me, who was going to help me with my son, you know, it didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to turn out. So I ended up back at square one, couch surfing to people's houses. Ended up staying with my Nana in the long run. She, her and my cousin Cece helped me a lot, and especially with my son, like he needed a lot of attention and I wasn't physically able to be there. So, you know, the feelings of being a bad mom or being helpless and those kind of things kind of, you know, made the experience a little rougher towards the end, because I feel like this was the end of the journey, you know. But recovery is a whole new thing. Like I'm still wearing the belly binder and it's been weeks. The doctor said that it would be about 4 to 6 weeks after the initial surgery that I'll be able to be kind of normal, and I'm in that part of the recovery. But I won't be able to say that I'm fully cancer free until it's about like 2 years from now.
What?
They did the pathology and they said they could find no more cancerous cells in your girl's body. And yeah, like I had, you know, those thoughts of like, oh my god, if I don't make it, you know, surgery's real difficult. Felt like I was wasting a lot of people's time because, you know,
I have a little depression, anxiety.
but I'm glad that I was able to make it to the other side. So I just want to give a little shout out to my Nana and my cousin Sierra and my big brother. You know, he did that that day, Halloween. He helped out. And you know, for every person who's prayed over me through the entire journey, I had every step of the way, there was always at least one person who prayed for me every step of the way. When I first was diagnosed, to the hospital stays, to the being medically prepared, all that surgery, everything. I was being prayed over and blessed over. So I would like to say thank y'all.
Cause your girl made it. 100. Period.